Hey, Jaclyn and Collin, thank you so much for being a guest on the Holistic Hub podcast. I'm super excited to chat with you guys today.
How you doing? It's awesome to be here. Thank you.
Aw, I'm so excited because I know we did an Instagram live together a few months ago, kind of talking about similar stuff, but I don't think you can talk enough about how amazing like food and movement and lifestyle modifications can just be for your overall health. So I'm super excited. We're going to dive into all of this today.
Yeah, we're really excited to talk about everything again, too.
I know. I know. All right. So I always love to start with just kind of hearing your guys' backgrounds. So you guys both kind of specialize in different things, but you're able to bring it together for this amazing company that you guys have both launched together, which we're going to dive deeply into. But Jaclyn, you're more of the movement side of things, and Collin, you're the culinary side. So I want to hear kind of how both of your backgrounds have really led you guys to just like starting this amazing company, Orqa Health, and just choosing that path of like health, vitality, and wellness.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we could deep dive into our histories separately and then coming together and how that whole journey really aligned. And essentially, I would say it started maybe 10, 11 years ago. Me and Colin's lifestyles were the most different then. And then each year they kind of got closer and closer and closer. And essentially, Collin was a regular chef, and I'll let him dive into that. And my side was, a classic trainer, just the regular basics in the gym, and then it slowly evolved into more of a holistic approach, learning different modalities, different treatments, and how that affected the body. And that just continued to grow and grow and grow, moving into food, moving into toxins in the home, how to detox the body, how to live a healthier life, to the air around us, to the soil, just to absolutely everything. And I would say our biggest pivotal point coming together was when Collin opened a smoothie bar inside of my gym. And I'll let Collin talk a little bit more about the food side, but that was our first big project together. And even comparing that project together versus now and the differences there, we just thought it was cool to kind of make a Buddha bowl or a smoothie and serve it to clients, and really just what that meant to us then versus what that means to us now has been a really cool journey. And that's, I would say, really where our journey together started, was Collin opening that smoothie bar inside of my gym. And I'll let Collin kind of talk about his side and how he kind of evolved from that point. And then when COVID happened, really is when we became, more aligned and on the same mission. And we essentially lost both of our businesses, more or less, being in the fitness industry and Collin in the food industry. So we kind of looked at each other, and, there's a lot of really deep emotional moments like together and with other people. And we're like, okay, how can we bring both of our talents together and serve more people? And we started really with ourselves as we started to, connect more to the land, because everything around us kind of got deteriorated. So we just let it flow. And then we're from Canada. So then we moved to the States. We moved to Florida. And essentially we just looked at each other and we're like, okay, we kind of have nothing that we're familiar with right now. So what do we want to build? Like literally, what do we want to build from the very beginning? And so it took a lot of iterations. We thought we wanted to, do coaching together, and, Collin being a chef, that was kind of funny. Being a chef, and I was going to be a coach. And so that taking those kind of iterations where he was really transforming a lot of how he saw food and how he cooked food, and, just the whole mindset around it and his whole, journey behind it, and then moving into now the business we have now. But I'll let Collin tell his side and let you catch up before we really tell you the fun stuff.
Yeah, so what Jaclyn was talking about, so we came together about 10 or 11 years ago, but before that, we had different paths. So I was your typical, Canadian. I worked on farms, peach farms, pruning, that kind of stuff. So it was very agriculture, but I didn't know what that meant at that time. I was just a kid having fun on the farms. And then I fell into the tourism. So I went into that ugly realm of kitchens that's not nutritious, very, drugs and drinking and all that kind of stuff. So I fell into that for many, many years. Worked up the ladder until I became a chef, and I was very unhealthy. I met Jaclyn, and to fast forward, met Jaclyn, and then my life changed. And intuitively, COVID hit, and we started grounding. We started growing our own food. We started having chickens and bees, and intuitively, our body, my body, anyways, more so than Jaclyn's, lost 35 pounds. And we went, okay, there's something to this. And that's when what Jaclyn's saying, we became coaches, and we said other people need to know about this because this stuff works. It's real. And then all the iterations are, what does that mean? Is it just the food? Is it the grounding? Is it the energy? What is it that got us to this point? And all of that coming together, all that knowledge was really what Orqa Health has become, is those years of coming together and watching us really transform and then transform others just through our conversations, and food being a big pivotal part of that. Jaclyn was always movement and I was always food, and now we brought it together.
Wow, your guys' story is amazing. So I didn't realize that have you only lived in Florida now then for 4 years since COVID, or?
Pretty much when we met you is when we came here.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were on vacation when we met you.
Really? Oh my gosh. It's crazy because you guys just seem like you're where you're supposed to be. And I would have thought you have been there many years before then. It did not seem like you guys had just been there on vacation. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. So let's talk about Orqa Health then. So can you tell everybody what Orqa stands for and just kind of describe like the intentionality behind it?
So Orqa Health was essentially what Collin and I created together as a project that we could do together. So we thought, what are our talents that we can really build something that's going to highlight what we do, challenge us, and serve not only just people around us, but also the soil. And so I'll let Collin talk about what actual Orqa Health means, the actual name.
So Orqa was supposed to be ORCA, but it ended up being ORQA. And that was cool in itself because Orqa, we love the whale. We love what it stands for as a species. So that was really what drew us to that at the time we were building Orqa. But what it stands for is to optimize your routines and rituals for a better quality of life to age beautifully. That's what Orqa actually stands for. And Orqa was built as a lifestyle brand more than just food. So it's really the whole hub of wellness, that being movement, sleep. I mean, everything that goes around wellness is really what Orqa stands for. And that's what the brand is. But we right now are focusing mainly on food, regenerative soil, farming, hitting people where it really matters. And everyone has to eat. It's just how they eat, what they eat is very important. And people nowadays don't love the cooking aspect of it. So we said, how do we get that in front of them? How do we actually get them to eat better in a convenient, fast-paced world? And that's really what we focus on now.
And that's the thing is that in this convenient, fast-paced world, we just completely lose touch of our connection with nature, with each other, and with our food. And so bringing that so that it's a little bit more convenient for people to be able to optimize their energy and their health by giving them good quality food that comes from great places, which we're going to dive into in a second. But I think that's so important that you guys are doing that because there's a huge educational side to this. It's not just here's good meals, here's good food, enjoy. It's actually, okay, here are the steps that we're taking to make sure that you're getting the best possible nutrients into your body. But it goes so far beyond that. And I believe that's really what you guys have been setting out to do is that education side of things too. Because I see you guys always posting about all the events you're at, which is super amazing.
Yeah, so there's definitely a link when we started Orqa between a practitioner like yourself let's say you had a client and you said you need to eat this or you need to take this or you need more of this in your lifestyle. To a lot of people that's very foreign and they don't know what that means, and then they go somewhere like a grocery store and they feel like they're getting the right stuff, but it's so nutrient deficient that they're not actually getting what they need. And so there's a lot of disconnects there. So Orqa is that kind of connection between a practitioner and bringing it home into real life.
I love that. So I feel like that's a perfect segue into the first part of what you guys are doing with Orqa Health is where you're sourcing your food from organic regenerative farms. So I'd love to talk about the reasons why this is so important to you to do this for your clients and also for yourself.
Take it away.
Okay. So it's important for a lot of different reasons, health reasons, all of those things. But to us, we're focused around knowing that we're energetic beings and we're hydroelectric. We know that water is important and we know that energy is important. And there's different ways to get energy. that being through food, through sun, through ground, through however we get energy. But we focused on food. And then we said, okay, so if food is our energy, that being the macronutrients, the carbohydrates, the fats, and the proteins, if that's how we're getting it, great. So if a broccoli has that, that's amazing. But to us, it's not about the macronutrients. It's what's the micronutrients? What's the fiber? Like what's the polyphenols? What are all those good things, the vitamins and minerals? That to us is the energy, because the fruits and vegetables get the energy the same way we do, through the ground, through the soil, through the sun, all the water. That's how they get their energy. And so we try to harness that energy to its purest from when it's picked from the ground to when it goes to the cell. It's almost like soil to cell is what we're trying to keep alive. That energetic pathway is what we're trying to restore in a lot of ways. We're trying to keep alive the whole way through. And that's through picking it, processing it, and eating it is really our 5-step methodology, which is the biology of cooking. It's very, very important to us because you can have macronutrients till you're blue in the face, but if they're nutrient deficient, your body's not getting what it's wanting. It's just going to lead to chronic disease anyways. So we focus on the micros, not the macros.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. And on top of all that too, it's being able to support local and being able to support these farmers that are doing such important work in creating healthy soil, because so much of our soil now, unfortunately, through conventional farming practices is just so depleted, which to your point is reducing that micronutrients that are in the food that are so important for us at a cellular level. And also just the amount of pesticides and all these different compounds that they're using that is depleting their soil, and that's depleting the micronutrients that are found in the foods too. So many amazing reasons to be supporting that. And I love that you guys that's like your first step with the food that you're sourcing.
Yeah.
So important.
We do, Dr. Stephanie, we spend a lot of time, Jaclyn and I, sourcing throughout America, really anywhere that's doing what we're doing or what we want, the regenerative farming, and giving them a voice, because they are small and few and far between. So it takes us a while to find them. But when we find those farmers that are doing great things, we try to, show the world that they're doing great things and that we can get it to you, but you can also get it yourself. There's ways that you can do this. And that's an education piece in itself, of saying, you can go to co-ops, or you can go and get this yourself, just like you can go to the grocery store. It's just as easy in today's fast-paced world. You can still click a button and get the right stuff. You don't have to click a button and get the wrong stuff.
And it is so special to talk to farmers. I mean, tell Stephanie the call where Collin just got off, like just before we came on here, was with a little farmer that had, what, you just said 10 acres?
Yeah, 10 acres, yeah. So he's super, super excited about regenerative farming. He was so passionate, it fired me up, and then so all that does is just create this bigger community where we're going to get together, and then he knows somebody, and he knows somebody, he knows a beekeeper, and all these things, and Orqa benefits, and everybody benefits, and he benefits. The collaboration's cool, and the community's really jazzed up and passionate about health and wellness.
But just think about the community and the energy and the aura around the conversations versus just a truck pulling up to your back door. Just the whole energy around that interaction and communication is dead. Like if you called a company and just said, can you just deliver a bushel of whatever, versus talking to this sweet guy, like just a whole different way of living, because everything is different.
Yeah. And the integrity, there's integrity there. The farmers won't sell something that's subpar or they're not happy with, which is really cool to me, because as a chef, yes, there's restaurants and menus, and we can talk about restaurants and the toxicity there, but restaurants are like, this is the menu, this is what I need. Whereas Orqa's like, well, hey, what do you have? Like, what is Mother Nature providing right now? Because that's what's going to go on the menu. And our clients and our friends and our community understand that, and they love that. That's the coolest part about what we're building.
That's so amazing. I love everything you guys just said, but what Jaclyn said about, it's like the whole aura behind it, because it's so true. It's like we forget, like in this society now with just having grocery stores on every corner, like the communication and just like the vibration that you can get from just communicating with the different farmers and seeing what they're up to and seeing how passionate they are. And it does get you really excited too. Like when my husband and I go to our local farmers market here in Laguna Beach, we like love talking to the farmers, and they get, when you talk to them and just ask them about one thing that they're growing, they get so excited to tell you about what they're doing and just like the produce that they have and like, or the quality that, or what goes into what they do. Like there's so much love behind it. And that itself. I know we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit down the road, but that's so huge. Like how people are growing their food and the intentionality behind it really speaks to the quality of the food, I believe. And then that transmits into us as well. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and without that step and that vibration and that understanding, we can't move into the rest of this whole conversation, I'm sure, because that is the foundation.
Yeah, 100%. So Collin had touched earlier about talking about how we're like hydroelectric beings and that water is so healing. Like it really is one of like the foundations of life itself. Like I saw this statistic the other day. I didn't realize it, but like 71% of the world is actually covered in water. And then our bodies ourselves are actually made up of like 2/3 water. And so you guys go through a process of cleaning your produce and the foods that you're getting from the local farmers to make sure that it is optimal as it's like part of the next step. So can you talk about what it is that you guys do to make sure that the quality is great once you get the food and then you're actually cleaning it? So what's the process behind it?
Go ahead.
Okay. So
Step 2 of how we
yes,
process the food.
this is step 2. So obviously sourcing and then finding the farmer, we just talked about that. But once we get the produce, so once the produce is picked, essentially it starts to lose its what we call energy. So those vitamins, those minerals, and it has like a 15-day window before it's depleted, and it's dead food is the way we say it. So it's dead food. It has nothing left. It just has those macronutrients we were talking about, but it really has no vitality in it. And so our job is to make sure we restore and maintain that vitality until it enters your cell. And so we know that water has memory and water remembers where it came from. And if we can continue that and we can keep that energy high, like Mother Nature has those negative ions and stuff, if we can keep that frequency inside of those vegetables, the whole pathway, and we don't destroy it while cooking, it has a better chance of getting to you. And if we use structured water, we know our cells speak to structured water better. So if we keep good nutrients and we give it good water, it gets into your body, those two talk to each other, and then you get maximum nutrient upload from the water. So that is really what we're trying to sustain through our whole process. So we use water, one, to clean our vegetables. So we use ozonated water. So we change the pH in our water for both cleaning our utensils and cleaning our pots and pans. We don't use chemicals, so we reduce the toxic load there. But we use the ozone to essentially clean the pesticides, if there was any. If through the energetic pathway, a farmer was sick or something or dropped the foods, it doesn't really matter how it got there, but we just want to make sure that we maintain a clean environment. So we wash them, then we put them in ozone. And from the ozone, we take them out into dry. We put them onto a drying rack that has this energy card underneath it. And this energy card emits frequency of Mother Nature. So therefore, the water droplets on the food and in the food are given back that frequency to restore it if it lost anything through transit. We only use food that's usually, a day or 2 days old. So it hasn't lost a lot, but we try to give it back. And then once it's dry, we put it back into our fridge, and our fridge has this frequency on all the walls that's emitting. So our walk-in coolers, all of our fridges actually have this negative ion frequency to, one, prolong the fruits and vegetables because there is no disease on it and it's not deteriorating, it's actually maintaining. And two, to keep and harness that frequency inside the water that the fruits and vegetables have. So that's really our washing process and how we try to maintain that energetic frequency.
That's amazing. Do you mind me asking, is it locally where you get those energy food cards that you use on the drying racks? Or is there somewhere that you're able to order them? Or like, do you mind diving into that just a little bit? Because a lot of people aren't aware of what those are.
So Collin uses all of Therasage's technology. So you can actually go on therasage.com, and I think it's food freshness card on their website, and also their ozone. So we use all their water technology too.
I love that. I love that company. I've got a few products from them myself, including their PEMF mat. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, Collin works quite closely with them to really understand how we can harness at every single step along the way.
Mm-hmm. And they're a big part of our, I'm going to call them the epigenetics in our kitchen. So we try to maintain that environment that's very non-toxic, as non-toxic as possible, because that's the only control we have, right? So
even cleaning the air, we clean the air using their technology too. So air, water,
And we have EMF protectors on all our fridges and all our everything.
That's amazing. So let's kind of dive in then to talking about just the kitchen environment, because I actually heard Jaclyn talk about this once somewhere on her Instagram, that you really make sure to maintain the, not just from what you're using, but like the energy that you guys are all bringing into the kitchen, and making sure that you're not talking negatively, right? All positive talk, all these different things, which is so important. So can we talk a little bit about why it is that you find that to be super important to do? And then other pieces that you find really important in terms of like maybe some of the non-toxic cookware that you use that you've found to be really important in just like maintaining the best quality in your kitchen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Collin share the study about the freezing water when you put it into the freezer, the water when you put it into the freezer. But essentially, we are all energy, and when we talk nicer to each other, we feel better, and we know that that radiates everywhere we go. So it is definitely one of our pillars at Orqa. And I mean, we have plants inside the kitchen, and you know, we hire people also on personality first, because you can't really teach energy, but you can teach someone that's willing to learn. So we hire based on that, and keeping the energy clean with different practices and rituals that we have when we go in and when we leave. And yeah, it's just keeping a really happy environment, because the food feels it. And you know, I have clients even say, I can feel the love in my fridge. I can feel the love when I eat the food. And I'm like, see, it's real. Like it's super super real. And I know it's real even for myself when I get those types of texts where I can feel the love. I can see the love in the fridge. And I was like, that is like, it just, love radiates. It just does.
Yeah. And just going off of that too, just something that I tell each of my clients is talking to yourself in such a positive way, and telling yourself positive things about who you are and that you love yourself. Like, tell yourself that you love yourself every day in the mirror, right? Say something nice about yourself, because that speaks to you so much. Like, our thoughts, as you guys know, just what we're thinking and what we're speaking really transmit into how our body processes and looks at ourselves. And then it will in turn give us that return on investment for, okay, like are they speaking to me in a positive way or a negative way? And how is that going to transmit in my body as physical pain, as emotional pain, right? And so starting with the food that's actually you're ingesting and that does get absorbed into our body and actually into our cells is so important. So that's really cool that you guys are taking that first step, because I don't think I've ever heard any other company talk about that. So that's important.
It's funny. I think it's a conversation, but it's common sense. Even with you talking, and the listeners might hear like the energy. So we talked about us being energy. You can feel someone's biofield. You can feel when you walk into a room if somebody was talking negative or positive. You can feel the energy. So we know that energy exists, and if we are energetic beings that emit and take in frequencies, and fruits and vegetables are living things as well, they do the exact same. And so they can receive what you're putting out there, just like your thoughts, just like your words. And so it's very important to us at Orqa that we have a checklist when you come in and when you leave. And when you come in, the first person in the door, turns on the lights and all that kind of stuff. We have regular schedules, but the first thing that he does is turn on the lights and make sure that the air purifiers go on, the ozonator, so it starts cleaning the air. And then they set an intention. That intention's set all day, shares that intention, and the last person at night gives gratitude. And while we're there, we don't talk negative. Negative doesn't really happen. If you have a negative or a bad day, you step outside of the kitchens to make sure that our energy is contained. Like, we're a family, and the food feels that. And I believe what Jaclyn was talking about was Dr. Emoto, the conversation that he spoke to. He proved that good words and bad words affect water molecules, especially water, and that's our vessel. That's how that's what we use to get nutrients into people's cells. So if water is memory and you speak nicely to it, what he proved is that the snowflakes or the ice crystals are beautiful when you speak nicely to them, and they're deformed and irregular when you speak negative to them.
And black.
So just that alone proves that your words and your thoughts go into water molecules. Therefore, if we're talking about food and we're around food, if there's a bad energy, it's going to go into it. And so we believe that.
I just think it's the coolest thing that Collin was able to take such a toxic, crazy environment. Like, the biggest comments we get when people come into our kitchen, they're like, "Oh, it's clean in here." why wouldn't it be clean in here? Oh, it's so welcoming. Oh, why wouldn't it be welcoming? So I think it's really cool, the opportunity that Collin gets to start to change the narrative around what an industrial kitchen is, and then also correlating that to the home, because I think the kitchen is it's the heart of the home, but it can be a very stressful environment for people too. So to create a better understanding and peaceful thought process around what that is like, I think is really cool.
Mhm. And to bring into an industrial, cold kind of stainless steel world, if you bring in like your backdrop there, if that was the backdrop of a kitchen, why can't that be there? Why can't you talk nicely, and you don't have to be militant, but you can be assertive, you can still be firm, but you can do it in a loving way that everybody benefits, right? I mean, that's the environment. If you think about, I don't know what your upbringing was like, but Nona probably had times where she was a little bit angry, but she was loving, and she did it through food, and it was always the best food. Was her recipe better than anyone else's? Probably not, but she had good intentions, and she loved what she was doing, and there's probably community, and the kids got their hands in it, and it became a family event. And I believe that the reason that that's so good and so memorable for so many people, everyone has a story somewhere, it's because of the love that goes around that, and we try to capture that in a box and give it to you each time. So I mean, that's our secret sauce. I think if people say like, why is Orqa better? It's because we love what we do, and we love the food.
Oh, I picked up on that 100% from just seeing it. That's exactly the secret sauce. Oh, and it's so funny, as you were like just finishing, I was like, we could end the episode like right here and it would be super epic. It's just like, that was beautifully said. Both of you guys, what you guys just said about the environment and how we talk to ourselves and everything was just perfect. And I love how you transmitted that so fluently, because again, it's just, this doesn't have to be something that, and I know this is not what you guys are saying, but this doesn't have to be something that's like, just in your work environment. This can be like what you do at home, like how you're preparing your food at home and how you're talking to your loved ones when you're cooking, and how you're taking the time to make sure that your food is good and healthy and ready to go for you to consume and for your family to consume. And I mean, there's so many things that you can just transmit from this conversation that we're having right now that you do in the kitchen for Orqa at home. And that can be so, like, you can be eons ahead of where many people are when they're just cooking really, really quickly just to get like a quick 10-minute meal and not taking the time to sit down and prepare their food and enjoy their food. And so I think that's really powerful. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit more about the kitchen environment. So you guys are, of course, very big into making sure that everything is as good quality as it can possibly be. And that includes making sure that the products that you're using, like for storage and for cooking, are non-toxic and not leaching any harmful chemicals into the food. So can we talk maybe about 2 to 3 of the different things that you guys really try to, I know you guys, everything's good to go in your kitchen, but what are like maybe the top 2 to 3 things you really focus on to make sure that no harmful chemicals are leaching into the food?
So the biggest ones are probably what you cook on. So what we cook on is very important. So definitely like the no Teflons, no bleach parchment papers, no aluminum. So no heavy metals. We try to mitigate all the heavy metals that go into our food, especially because they're using such high heat. That was one of them for sure. The oils we use are, they're no seed oils. We don't use them at all. And the ones that we do cook with, they don't break down. We don't use high heat, ones that break down over high heat to create free radicals. That's another one. We don't use chemicals for cleaning. We change the pH in the water. We don't use plastic. We use glass and stainless steel to store our foods. Those are some of the biggest ones anyways. I don't know if you have any. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I love it. Thank you. So now moving into the next process where you're actually delivering the food. And I know that you guys really try to carry everything that you're doing over into that person's home. So that way, when they sit down and they eat their meal, that they're in the best state possible to be able to enjoy the food and like really receive what you guys had done. So what are some of the tips that you give your clients to really focus on optimizing that digestive process as they're sitting down for their meal?
I mean, I'll start with the first one that I share with people when they initially call, and that is having this entire conversation's understanding. Because I think a lot of people take for granted the food that they get. So once they understand, these tiny little farms that are growing for them, you can become a little bit more grateful, and have a little bit more understanding about the process that it took. So once the food's placed in front of them, they can start already in a grateful state, in a grateful space. And then moving into just slowing down and breathing. I'll let you take it.
Yeah, so we try so hard to maintain that energetic pathway. It's very, very important to us. So we try not to just throw that out the window. Even when I'm cooking, I'm very knowledgeable of stopping the cooking process, not overcooking anything so that the nutrients leach out into the water if we're using water. There's a lot of cooking methodologies and biochemistry, I suppose, that we use to stop and maintain so that when it gets to the home, it's as optimal as it possibly can be under any circumstances. And then, the biggest one that I'm surprised you didn't say was the microwave.
Well, I would have. Don't worry.
So throwing it into the microwave, honestly, any energy that we put into it and tried so hard to restore is out the window. I don't know if people know how microwaves work, but the heat from the inside out, and what they do is they destroy the cells. So any cellular structure that we put in there with all that structured water destroys that. And every cell after that it touches on the way out just deforms it, because every cell we get sick and we heal on the cellular level. So that cell's destroyed, and then this one is, and this one is, and all the way through. So you have this satiating piece of, let's call it meat or vegetable, doesn't really matter. It's satiating, it fills you up, but it's deprived of any energy it had. So microwave number one shouldn't be in the home. So we can get rid of those. So microwave frequencies are bad. And I guess the other one is to really slow down and chew and try your hardest to get into into that parasympathetic, that fight or flight we don't want. When we're in fight or flight and we're not chewing our food, one, our body doesn't register because it's worried about, it's being chased by a tiger. So it doesn't really care about the digestion part of it. And so it's not absorbing what it's supposed to be absorbing, how it's supposed to. The bile doesn't work properly. Nothing is working from a digestion standpoint properly. So we try to get them to slow down, even give 30 seconds of gratitude. Just stop for a moment, say something nice, and then eat. And by doing so, and then chew your food, start the digestion process, let your body know that there's food coming. And I think in doing so, on top of having better digestion, you're going to get fuller quicker. You won't overeat. There's a good chance that, it might help weight loss if that's what people are concerned about. But you won't have bloating, less air going in, and all of those things. So really slowing down is, besides the microwave, my number one tip.
Yeah. I love that. Slowing down around meal times is like one of the biggest things that people need to be incorporating, just because, and it's so easy to do too, because it's not like, it doesn't take that too much effort. It's just making sure that you're setting aside that time to be able to optimize your digestion. Cause like you mentioned, all the amazing benefits, but you can lose out on absorbing nutrients, on getting that optimal like bile flow, that peristalsis that's occurring from the gallbladder emitting the bile to help absorb our nutrients and to help fast track like the food through our system in an optimal way. And if we eat too quickly, then we're missing out on like such an important process in the whole piece. So yeah, that's really important. I'm glad that you guys talk about that with your clients. So I know overall the important thing that you guys are incorporating is doing all this to help fuel your bodies to be as optimal as you can, and the things that you want to do and accomplish and be the best that you can be in your life, whether it's movement, whether it's your career, whether it's just spending time with like family members and community. So I know Jaclyn, you're so wonderful when it comes to posting about your movement and how it's as much as spiritual as it is physical. And I'd love for you to kind of elaborate on that. And is this something that you guys do kind of incorporate with your clients as well, in talking about like movement and other important pieces like that can help to also continue to vitalize your body moving forward?
Yeah, this is such a massive topic, and we do have a lot of overlap between clients that coach with me for movement and bringing in the nutrition and the movement, and how there's synergy between them. And where I see the biggest results with individuals is where they are bringing both together and really honoring their body in that way. And I think that's where the spiritual side comes in, and not even to get too crazy into it. It's just bringing that grateful state into your body as a gift, and you get to take care of it in all these really unique ways. And when you fuel your body and you're truly giving your body what it needs on a cellular level, you can energize the cell, energize your body and your mind, because what you feed your body really affects the thoughts that you have. Then you're also more motivated to move. And now you have this kind of hamster wheel that's moving in a really beautiful forward motion, where I'm exercising and I'm feeling good and I'm giving my body the nutrients that it needs, so it's energized. And now you're on this really cool flow, and you want more because now you're feeling better and you're looking better and you're having more energy, and then that becomes more fun. So now you're leaving behind all of these different routines that didn't serve you and bring you closer to how you want to feel and where you want to go. And now you're looking for more. What more can I do? What other things can I add in? Because now it's feeling so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Can I interject? It's almost like it's full circle. So what Jaclyn does is, from our standpoint, it's almost like the fifth step. It's what closes the loop and brings you back to thinking about the soil and your food. It almost makes you go, oh, okay, I'm feeling really good. Less inflammation. All these transmitters in my gut are making me feel good, and I'm looking good, and I'm confident, and I'm sending out new energies, and I'm attracting new people, and I got a new community, and everything just kind of organically just starts rolling in a different direction. And so it closes the loop of, okay, it's the eating. It always comes back to the eating and the soil, and then it comes back to how you feel, how you look. And so that's where Jaclyn can kind of close that loop and then attach it again to the food and nutrition.
Well, and that was going to just be my next thing the topic that I wanted to bring up was that connection that we create with our food and the soil and everything, and then how that feeds into community. And just so let's talk about your guys' personal experiences with creating Orqa Health and doing this. Like, have you found you've been able to connect with more incredible people and create like a bigger community throughout all this, just because of like the work that you guys are doing and how you're feeding yourselves and helping to feed other people? And like, what's even your clients' responses to how they've been feeling, like in community wise, I guess, connection with this?
I think Orqa Health has allowed us to, I mean, it's not so beautiful. Like, we have a lot of very hard moments. Like, let's not just make it, everything is so beautiful and wonderful and business is perfect. No, it's the hardest business you could ever be in the whole wide world. However, it's allowed us to be, I think, the most authentically ourselves. And so that's brought in the most beautiful circle of people around us. So whenever there is a little drop or a question, we have brought in, and I think just attracted, every person that we've needed to fill every little gap that we've had. And so I think it's just because it's so wholesome and holistic, and it's just creates such a cool community of like-minded, authentic, real, true, passionate people.
Yeah. I think being in the health and wellness field and being passionate about it just opens up doors to saying, here's what we do. And I'm sure you've noticed this. And then someone tells you about their story and you tell them about your story. And then it almost gets off topic of what you guys actually do. And then you learn about each other on like an intimate level. And you didn't even mean to, you're just having coffee. And then that just spills out to, oh, I know a person that needs this food. And or I know a person that wants to movement. Oh, you should check this guy out. And it's just this snowball effect of like-minded.
Yeah, we're not selling.
People.
I never feel like we're selling. We're just creating relationships and community and sharing.
Yeah. Health and wellness doesn't have to be. There's a lot of noise in our space, and you know that as much as I do. And it's cutting through that and just being, I guess, understanding what you need. We're all very different. What I eat may be different than what Jaclyn eats, but we know that as long as the source is pure and true, it's going to help us. And we might not need, this much macros or whatever else. It might be different. But our bio-individuality is different, but we all need food. We all need movement. We all need sleep. We all need, in some degree, if we can get that right, then we're going to be pretty balanced.
And I think it's just when you believe in something so much, like this is like wholeheartedly, like there's no question marks. This is what we believe in. And then I think that just brings in the circle. Like there's no, I've done like variations of health and wellness and fitness and I've always been passionate, but there's always been is there more? Do I lean to learn more? Maybe there's a piece missing. Like here, this is it. This is absolutely it.
It's like our conversation, Dr. Stephanie. We could probably talk forever because it's just one goes to another, and it's not about what you do and what I do. It's about what we do as humans in this space that we're in, and we love the wellness. And there's so much to it, but there's so much good in it that you can just get lost and have fun and have conversations for a long time.
Oh no, for sure. I know every time we brought up like a new topic or we went off on like a little tangent, I'm like, wow, we could probably talk about that for like a whole podcast episode, but I got to keep it on the straight and narrow. But something that Jaclyn brought up too, and that you also did as well, Collin, was just talking about like your business. And yeah, like from an outsider looking in might think, oh wow, everything just looks so easy and dandy. It was just easy to start and easy to do this. And now look at them, they're living a great life. But these things do take work too, like you're mentioning with exercise and fitness, right? And just making sure that you're getting in proper movement outside, making sure that you're eating well. Like those things, like as amazing as they are for us, take work to do too, take that inner work, but then also like building a business and like following your passion. And that takes work too. But it's incredible what follows when you do that, when you start to kind of become in alignment and feed your body the right things and do the right things for yourself. Incredible what can be at the other end for you. And so I'm really glad that you guys kind of touched on that, because it can be hard work. It is hard work, right? We all have to put in some work to get to that other side. So
and it's
that's
ongoing.
important.
It's ongoing. It never, it's something you always
evolving.
do work at, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'd love to kind of just end it with, what are some tips that each of you guys might have, just for somebody that is kind of like looking to, just to take that next step in maybe living like a healthier life? Like they're listening to all this stuff and they're like, okay, great. Like movement, like sourcing food, eating well, not using microwaves. Like, okay, what's kind of the first step or two that you would recommend to somebody just to kind of get them on the right path?
I mean, I would say my first answer is almost like not an answer, but I think we all know what we need. So I think if you just like close your eyes and go, what's one thing that stood out? That's exactly what you need to take away today.
It's funny you say that, because I'll lean into that a little bit more. It's ironic we have the same answer almost. It's not even an answer.
Because if you
Perfect. No answer.
We're going to tell you to have more protein and fast and have fiber and have more greens.
It's a question that is asked quite often. What would be the first tip? And I think tips like drink lemon water, sleep 8 hours, whatever little tidbit that you could give, that we could all give a whole rap sheet full of them. I think those intuitively and organically happen once you get the ball rolling. So what my first step would be, if you're in the health space, just continue to be curious with an open mind. And what I mean by that is ask the questions, find out, read the labels, do whatever but have an open mind that it's not the end all be all. I don't have to be so strict on yourself. So give yourself some grace and be curious with an open mind. I think all the other things just happen. You're like, oh, lemon water. Actually, I did some research and it's really good. I'm going to have lemon water now. And then that becomes part of your routine. And as those routines change, like you say, it's a snowball effect. It's just, you're going to start talking to new people, be more confident. You're going to feel what you didn't feel before. I didn't know that I was supposed to feel this way. I didn't know I had this much energy, and then everything just starts changing.
Yeah, just getting motivated. Because I think it's like, I usually ask someone, when did you feel the best? What were you doing? What were you doing? And then get consistent with that.
Amazing. Those were great answers. Your not answers were great answers.
Eat more fiber.
Yeah, eat more fiber. Drink your greens. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, well, you guys, let's just talk about your business one more time then. Where can people find both of you? And I know Orqa Health is primarily in Southwest Florida right now. Are there plans to kind of diversify more nationwide or more towards more East Coast cities? Kind of tell people where they can find you and then maybe work with you.
Yeah, they can find us in South Florida, Orqa Health, at Orqa Health or orqahealth.com. And we have big plans to serve the nation. Yes, we do.
We do, yes. But we're going to keep this footprint. What we'd like is to service a small community, small area. That way we can work with the farmers. We'll never ship, so we're never going to ship to you. But we could have a kitchen out there sooner or later, and we'll be able to service you. So that's our plan, is to open up a little Orqa Health, across America.
I love it. Well, please open one if you're thinking of your next location. I think Orange County, California is a great place, but I mean, I don't know. I might be biased.
Yeah.
I think it's top 3 for sure.
That's a good demographic.
Yay. Yes, yeah. You would fit in so perfectly here. Trust me. Aw. And then selfishly, I get to see you guys in person, because for those listening, we've actually never met. We just have met multiple times on social media, done Instagram lives together, bundles together, interviews together, but never actually in person. So one day.
It's gonna happen.
Absolutely one day.
One day. Yes. Aw. Well, thank you guys both for being a guest. It was such a pleasure as always talking with you, and I can't wait for people to listen to this episode.
Amazing. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much for
much.
having
It was
us.
amazing.
Hey, you're welcome.